Hey guys, I hope you are all well. I have had people asking questions about my trip and decided to put together a synopsis of my plans. This is not an action packed video, but it does give a good bit of detail on my upcoming trip down the Mississippi River. If you would like to ask questions about my trip, throw a comment down below and I'll do my best to answer it. Thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next one.
What's going on, everyone? Been meaning to get this video done for a little while, and it's out here burning up this old tree that fell down, and thought, why not get it done now? And basically, what I'm gonna do is give a quick walkthrough of my trip down the Mississippi River, what my plans are, what my thoughts are, my goals and concerns. I also have some folks that asked some questions, and I told them that I'd put them into the video, so we'll just kind of cover a few topics here. Today is May 4th. Happy birthday, Torque. I am 28 days away, I believe it is, from June 1st, which is my launch. So I'm getting pretty excited. Mississippi River is still pretty well flooded, but it is going down. It's just painfully slow watching it when you know you got such a big trip coming up that involves that. So, but yeah, I mean, this video is just going to be a brief walkthrough of the upcoming trip, and like I said, just some of my thoughts and answering some questions. So the plan, going to be very informal here. I'm going to read right off my notes. So what's the plan? What am I doing? Mississippi River is about 2,300 miles long, covers 10 states, and pretty much goes from northern Minnesota all the way down south of Louisiana and dumps into the Gulf of Mexico. The river is about 60, 70 days if you just paddle straight through. Don't stop and sightsee a lot. You just kind of keep on going. I don't really have a target date to finish. It'd just be sometime around then, 60, 70 days. I try to get back around early August. So, it starts at Lake Itasca, Minnesota, and ends in the Gulf of Mexico. And that's pretty much the entire way. I'm going to be kayaking that solo. So, I'll be kayaking along and through the states of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, and then, of course, lastly, Louisiana. Let's see here. I'll be launching from Lake Itasca on June 1st. I've broken the trip into 3 phases based on the 3 different kayaks I intend to use throughout the trip. Phase 1, I will leave Lake Itasca in my cheapy but trusty 10-foot Pelican kayak. It's light and it floats in just inches of water, but its main advantage is it will absorb all of the damage from the first 16 miles of the river that is shallow and rocky. I will end my first day at Coffee Pot Landing, where I will meet up with my wife and spend the night. And that's the end of phase 1. Simple, right? Well, it's nice to achieve a goal early, and that's definitely what I'll do. I know in probably about 5 hours I can cover that distance, probably even less than that, and be at camp for the night. So that's a great, easy way to start the trip. Phase 2. So the reason I'll be switching boats so soon is I will now be spending the night alone on the river before I meet up with my wife again in Bemidji. A larger kayak to carry my sleeping gear, food, water, and all the camera gear necessary to make these videos. After my first night on my own, I will paddle on to Bemidji, Minnesota, and meet my wife again. I will spend that night with her in a hotel along Lake Bemidji, which the Mississippi River cuts through. The next day, I will say goodbye to my beloved and head out on my own. So pretty much nothing but paddling for the next several weeks. I'll pass through bigger towns such as Brainerd and St. Cloud, eventually going through Minneapolis and St. Paul. And when I reach Red Wing, I will meet back up with my wife again. She'll drive out, pick me up, and I'll head back home. Red Wing is the closest I will be to my house the entire trip. I'm very fortunate to live in Minnesota for the reasoning of I will be close to home for the first third of the trip. A lot of people don't know, but the first third of the Mississippi River, roughly, is in Minnesota alone. So my wife will drive out to Red Wing, pick me up, and bring me home. Just give me a chance to recharge and resupply before heading back out to the river. Phase 3. So after a few days of luxury and a critical resupply, I will switch over to my final boat of the trip. It's the 17'7" Kevlar current design Solstice GTS. This boat is made for big water, long trips, and speed. I will go from a slow walk in the first boat to a steady jog in the second, to an all-out sprint in the third. I saved this boat for last because the river is now consistently deep, wide, and faster than at any other point before, and with some big open waters to cross such as Lake Pepin, this boat will make life a little easier. The drawback to this type of composite boat is if it hit just right, you can puncture the hull easier than the other boats. Be it a rock or a sharp object under the water, I'll have to be extra careful while on the water, but especially near land. I will be bringing a repair kit should I need it. I will eventually leave Minnesota and enter the completely unknown area beyond. I have never been south of Minnesota along the river, so it will all be new to me. I will pass through more than 20 locks and dams and see cities such as St. Louis, Memphis, and New Orleans, where there will be ocean liners the size of small buildings. New Orleans will be the last major city I will see at this point. I will be just around 100 miles to the end of the river. The last town I will pass will be Venice, Louisiana, at around 25 miles to the Gulf. This is the last point along the river that has road access. From here on, it's boats only. I intend to take the South Pass to the Gulf of Mexico, where the trip will be nearly over. This will have been the end of the trip with my goal achieved, but I will still need to make my way back up to Venice, that 25 miles, but now upriver. There is a possibility that there is a boat captain down there that I am talking with who will come down and pick me up and bring me back up to Venice, which would be awesome. That would save me about a day of paddling back upriver. And if not, it'll just be armed and paddle swinging trying to get back up that river. Whichever way I get back up to Venice, my wife will meet me there. She's going to drive down from Minnesota and pick me up. And then we'll be able to spend a couple days together driving back up along the river towards home. So that's the plan anyways. The trip, like I said, is expected to take between 60 and 70 days. I put the word out that if anybody wanted to ask some questions, that I would answer and add them into this video. I had a massive response of 2 people respond, so as promised, here are their questions. So my sister was the first and quickest to respond, and she had a couple questions for me. So 1, have you done any training to prepare yourself for this long journey? If so, what does that training consist of? The honest truth is the major training requirement for me has been mental preparation. I have never done a trip of this magnitude or anything like this, so convincing oneself that this is something I can do or it's even possible is probably one of the biggest obstacles to overcome. It takes a lot of thought, a lot of preparation, and there's a lot of moments of I don't knows. I think ultimately I came up with the idea that all I have to do is paddle every day and take it one step at a time, and you're just going down river, you'll get there. So that's been the biggest thing. Also, there is a big group on Facebook called the Mississippi River Paddlers, and it's a group of somewhere around 2,000 people who have paddled the river or are experienced paddlers themselves. There's a lot of people on there who live along the river or will come out to the river if you need assistance or help in any way. They've been known to allow folks to stay at their home for the night, do laundry, shower, bring them to a store to get supplies. There's just all kinds of help that people are willing to offer. Aside from just the mental preparation, I am trying to get in as much kayaking as I can to try to get my body ready for the amount of paddling I'll be doing, but I'm pretty convinced that most of the conditioning I will go through will be on the river. So, alright, her second question, what part of this trip are you most excited for? What I'm most excited for is getting away from the daily grind, taking a break from work and being able to go somewhere and see something. I always despised the thought that most of my summer will be spent indoors working, so this trip will be an opportunity to be outside more for pretty much a couple months straight. What part of this trip are you most nervous about? So there are a couple topics I can share on this one. As of today, the Mississippi is experiencing a lot of flooding issues, which I kind of alluded to earlier, so I really want to see that get under control, and likely it will, it just takes time. While on the trip, weather is one of my biggest unknowns. There is an opportunity to be hit by some nasty storms, hot days, and relentless sun. I will need to find a way to cope with all of these on the fly, as there is not a ton of prep time for such events. And probably the big unknown that I am a little leery about is the stretch of river between Baton Rouge to through New Orleans. This area of the river has a massive shipping industry, which will mean I am sharing the river with large river barges as well as full-on ocean liners and cargo vessels. They are huge, and I will need to find a way to cope with their size and numbers. So the next one to ask me some questions is Ed Nizo, and I sure hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let's see here. His first question: what will you do if you see a Sasquatch out there? Now, Ed runs an outdoors channel on YouTube called NYZ Outdoors. Along with his wife, friends, and brothers, his channel is a lot of fun to watch. It's like an outdoors comedy, so this is exactly the kind of a question I would expect him to ask. I will put a link down in the description to his channel. Check him out. He's always good for a laugh. It's fun to watch. So, I think the best way I can answer this is if I see a Sasquatch, I have every intention to follow tradition and take as many blurry and barely believable pictures as I can, while filming as much as I can to show as little as possible to achieve an inconclusive record of the event. Ed's second question: what piece of gear are you leaving that you wish you were bringing? A lot of what I have brought for this trip, or will be bringing for this trip, fits into the basic needs, but still within the desires category. But something I am planning on leaving behind is my dive fins and goggles. I wanted to do some free diving on the upper river. The waters are so clear, and Cass Lake and Lake Winnibigoshish offer some great chances to just get underwater and check things out. But, it's going to be a little chilly up there still, I think. I mean, we're having a really hard time climbing out of the 40s and 50s here in Minnesota right now. And, I think just a week ago, there was still ice on some of the lakes up there. So I'm sure they'll warm up plenty, but it's still going to be pretty chilly. And I'm not so sure that diving on my own, because I will be solo, is such a good idea. So I did make the decision to leave the diving gear behind. What piece of gear are you bringing that is a luxury that makes you extra happy? So there are a couple items that fit in this category. A portable Bluetooth speaker that I can also play a micro SD card in, the drone for filming, and a chair to simply relax in, actually the one I'm sitting in now. But the best answer to this question would probably be my fishing gear. The pole and the small tackle box will take up a fair amount of room, and the biggest commitment to this luxury will be the fact that I will need to purchase an out-of-state fishing license in any state I want to fish in, except Minnesota, obviously, because I live here. But I figured out that if I only buy an out-of-state license for all the states on the west side of the river, I'll be able to fish all the way to the Gulf, probably for only around $200. So, fishing will be purely for the fun of it, and as a way to relax when I reach camp each night. I really enjoy fishing in areas I have never been, and this trip will be almost all new area for me to try. Wife came up with a good question here. She said, do you think you'll get bored from day to day, or do you think you will see each day as part of the adventure? I think it'll be interesting to see, because I know that on the long stretches of the river where there's nothing going on, there's no houses, there's no people, there's no boats, probably occasional barges, trains, a lot of trains running around the river. I think that paddling will probably get a little repetitive, but I kind of like the quiet, and I kind of enjoy the quiet, and I think it'll be interesting to see how I cope with so much quiet, so much repetitiveness, and so much alone time. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually really comes together. That's a question that I'm going to say I will see every day as an adventure, but we'll have to see how it really feels when I'm doing it. So in honor of this video and the upcoming trip, there are a few quotes that I have remembered in the planning process. And if you're thinking of adventuring around, maybe they will mean something to you too. Thanks for watching. See you soon.